Hi, everybody. Brianna Whitney here.
Morgan Loew, welcome to this special edition of True Crime AZ Live. We're here to talk about the big true crime story of the day, of the week. This is a tough one, unfolding right down the highway here, involving people that a lot of us in the journalism business know.
Right. So we know today co-host Savannah Guthrie is in Tucson because her mom, Nancy Guthrie, 84 years old, is still missing tonight. This is an odd investigation. It was odd from the start because typically when you have an elderly person who goes missing, it isn't always a crime. It might be that they, have dementia or they got confused. But in this case, we knew pretty quickly that when the Pima County Sheriff Department and the sheriff himself came out late Sunday night and started talking to reporters, he said, this isn't typical. You can see her house on your screen right here. She was at her house, last seen here alive. Homicide detectives were part of that initial search. And that's when we kind of knew off the bat something was off. Yeah. And that's been confirmed.
And Sheriff Chris Nanos last night said, look, we get calls all the time about senior citizens being missing and check welfare calls. He said, our people know when they enter a house what it's supposed to look like if somebody just walked away. And without getting into detail, he said, this did not look like that. They could tell something was wrong.
Right. So I just interviewed Sheriff Nanos just a couple minutes ago, but before we get into that, let's just go through the nuts and bolts of what we know so you know why we're asking the sheriff certain questions. Yeah. We know that Nancy Guthrie was last seen alive around 9:30 p.m. Saturday night. She was reportedly dropped off back at home by a family member. She was supposed to go to church Sunday morning. She didn't show up at church. That's when some of the church, either head leaders or people at the church, got in contact with Guthrie's family and said, hey, Nancy wasn't here. She's usually here. Nancy's family then got involved. They started searching for her as well. And when they couldn't find her either, that's when they called 911. That's when Tucson officials then became involved in the investigation. We know that there is evidence that was found inside the home you're seeing on your screen that indicated a crime happened and that they now believe was an abduction. That included some interesting details that have even come out tonight, like they believe that Nancy was in her bedroom when she was taken. They don't know where she went. They're going to be reviewing surveillance footage. They have her cell phone. They need to still review that. So that's a lot of what I asked Sheriff Chris Nanos about. I want to get into that interview. We just recorded this a couple minutes ago. This is the very latest on the investigation and the search for Nancy Guthrie. I want to ask you a little bit about the evidence in the house. I know there's some you can't say, but are we looking at blood evidence, written evidence? What kind of evidence was it that led you to believe she was abducted?
Yeah, it's so hard. I get it. Everybody wants this information, but we really do have to protect the integrity of this case. If it does turn into something criminal, and there's just certain things at that scene that the intruder knows, and only he knows. And so we can't let that out. And so that's why I'm kind of holding back. I would just tell you, I've been doing this for 50 years now. And, sometimes you just get this gut instinct when people tell you things that you go, that's not good. Yeah. I've been wrong before. I hope I'm wrong here. But there's some things there that are concerning to us. And that's why we've got our homicide team out there as well.
You mentioned, this is something the intruder, only he would know. Do you believe it's a man and only one person? Is it possible multiple people were involved?
Always possible, always possible. And as to the gender, we'll hopefully we'll get that download from those cameras that we removed from that residence. Hopefully we'll get something from there. And I'm praying that will break this case open for us, but we'll see.
That's what I was going to ask you. I know that you were trying to retrieve that video footage from the cloud. Have you been successful in that? Has anybody from your department reviewed it yet?
I don't know where they're at with all of it. I know that they are working with the camera makers. I don't know that there's a cloud. I think it's a server that's the struggle. And so they'll those things are in the works.
What about her cell phone? I know you have it in your possession. Have you been able to review it? Is there anything on the phone that has been an investigative lead or a detail that's pertinent to where the case stands now?
So we have the phone. We are in the process of that download as well. Probably complete is my guess by now, but and others will take a look through it and see what's there. But yeah, certainly there's more work to do in the, I'll call it the electronics arena, the data gathering of that forensic evidence. But some DNA, we're hoping maybe we can get a profile of some sort. But everything that can be done in a crime scene, we are doing.
Are you actively DNA testing any items of evidence from the house now? And if you are, how quickly do you expect to get the results from that?
So we actually are, and we have our own DNA rapid testing here, and then of course we use a lab, but we've been told that the system here in Tucson is down, so we ran that up to Phoenix today. So hopefully here we'll know something from Phoenix that we can maybe get to our labs and get a rush order done from them. But even then, it's still a few days off. Nothing's fast enough, right? So,
Right. And even though the technology is a lot better than it used to be, it still takes some time. And then you have to build that DNA profile of the person too. So I get it. I know you confirmed that you believe whoever this person was took Nancy Guthrie from her bedroom, but I don't believe you said there was signs of forced entry earlier today. So
yeah, I won't, again, I won't go into that. I think people have asked, is there signs of a struggle or those? I just can't get into that right now.
Do you know where the person or people may have entered the home? Was it the front door? Was it the back? Was it a window? Is there any sort of evidence that may show where that is if she was in her bedroom? Again, I just can't get into that. We believe we know the way in and out of that home, but I don't want to get into it. And is that just based on something that either was open or a certain path you were able to trace outside into the inside?
I think it's based on the condition of the home as we found it. Yeah.
Okay. In terms of rescue versus recovery, I know you're still calling it a search and rescue. I also know your homicide detectives are part of this investigation. Do you believe you are still looking for Nancy Guthrie alive at this point, that she could be held somewhere? And if so, do you believe that is local in the Tucson area or that she's been taken somewhere much further at this point?
We're just not going to give up hope. We hope she's out there somewhere.
So you still believe this is an active rescue mission at this point?
We hope so.
How's the family doing tonight? I know Savannah has flown in from New York and is there. I know family was the one that reported her missing, that they had seen her before. They were also searching for her. So they had last seen her that night before, then we're also searching. How are they doing with all of this? And are they in pretty constant communication with your department?
Very much so. The family's been tremendous help for us, working with us, cooperating with us. They're as anybody would be, they're devastated, scared, but we continue. They're a strong family. They lean on each other, I think, and they have us too. We're part of their family as well too.
Sheriff, last question for you tonight, and thank you, because I know your detectives are working around the clock, you're working around the clock. This is a tremendous effort for you guys, both from the investigative side and for the amount of media spotlight that this has. So many people obviously concerned. What can people expect from you guys tomorrow? Will you be having a press conference? Do you expect that? Do you expect more information? I think people kind of want to know when they should look for more information that would come from you guys on where the investigation stands.
Yeah, you guys get bashed as much as we do in our profession, but we really do lean on you, and we need your support and your help more times than not. This is just one of those times. So we really appreciate all you've done with this. getting the information out there. And it's not easy with this sheriff to get information from. I understand that, but I don't want to hold the press conference to hold the press conference.
Right.
Tonight, they're going to get things in. We'll sit down with our team, see what we've learned. If there's something of substance that we think would help with this, we'll certainly call a press conference tomorrow so everybody's brought up to speed. But I can't say that till I hear from my team tonight. I think what people need to know is we're not going to give this up. We're going to continue to work. We're going to find out what happened here and where is she at.
Yeah. Sheriff Chris Nanos, thank you so much for your time. Obviously, our thoughts are with you. They're with the Guthrie family as this continues, and I will see you down in Tucson tomorrow. Thank you again.
Well, thank you. Travel safe, please.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Wow, a lot to break down there, and we're going to talk about what the sheriff had said. But before we do that, we have a live reporter out at the scene, out by the Guthrie home. This is a reporter, Sean Mahoney, from our sister station, KOLD 13 News. Sean, thanks for joining us tonight. I just want to start with asking you, what is the mood in the community there?
I mean, yeah, first off, thank you guys for having me. And I want to say that ever since this news kind of broke last night, I mean, I was working yesterday evening when Sheriff Nanos had announced that there was going to be a press conference at 9 p.m. on a Sunday night, which, just for reference, does not usually happen. And it's gained so much attention around the Tucson community and, as you guys know, just around the country. And me and my colleagues who have been out at the scene throughout the day today have seen a lot of community support for Nancy. I mean, it speaks to a lot of Nancy and what she meant to the community, of how many people have come out. But there's obviously been a lot of concerns just around the case itself, kind of the nature of how a lot of these details came about. But even today, we've been reporting on dozens of residents who had volunteered to come out after the ground search was stopped by the sheriff's department. Once they ruled that the crime had committed in the home, there was dozens of residents who came out to the scene, searching through bushes, just trying anything they can in that local neighborhood in the Catalina to try and bring any help to the Guthrie family, but not only family, but to this investigation. And it is something that a lot of people never would have expected in this community, which the Catalina Foothills community, you never, no, I don't want to say never, but stuff like this, a lot of neighbors we spoke to say doesn't happen around the community, which makes this case all that more shocking.
Yeah, Sean, and in that community, the Tucson area, Pima County, it really is tight-knit. Last night, this got my attention because I was on Facebook, and friends of mine down there started putting up the missing persons alert. And, you know, that got my attention because I know Savannah. I've known that family since college. As people down there, it's a million people in the area, but it really seems like a small town. It does seem like a situation that a lot of people in the community felt like they could do something to try to help.
Yeah, I mean, with all the coverage that you get and all the coverage that we've seen just across the country, I mean, this thing, from the moment we found out that this had any relation to the Guthrie family, I mean, you're seeing stories around the community of people who knew the family, not only knew Savannah, but knew Nancy and how involved she was in the community. And like you said, Tucson, obviously a town of a million people, but you have little pockets, and Catalina Foothills is one of those pockets that you really feel this sense of community there. And everyone knows everyone. I mean, the reason that this all came to light, you have to remember, is the fact that that Nancy Guthrie was supposed to be at church on Sunday, and it was local community members who pointed out that she wasn't there and kind of started this whole process. And so, yeah, even like we mentioned today, even with what we've seen today with the community coming out to support, I mean, it's been an all hands on deck effort, not only from law enforcement, but from the community. There's a dedicated tip line specifically to any information around Nancy Guthrie. I mean, this has really brought a lot of that community together, not only in the Catalina Foothills, but from Tucson all the way up to Phoenix and even around the country.
Sean, you mentioned that we know Nancy was supposed to be at church Sunday morning. And I know we're zeroed in on the investigation and what was found inside the house and everybody coming in to help. Can you share a little bit about what we've learned about Nancy herself? I mean, what was she involved in? We know she went to church, but because Tucson and the Catalina foothills is a tight-knit community, do we know a little bit about her daily life and what she was like and her personality, anything like that?
I mean, yeah, we've reached out to a lot of the neighbors, and she was the type of person. Some of the neighbors that some of my colleagues spoke to say would watch over their yard, watch over their dog. I mean, they would see her driving in the community, they'd wave, say hi. I mean, she was obviously very integrated, not only in her community that you're seeing there now, but just in the community as a whole, an avid churchgoer. I mean, obviously a huge supporter of her daughter with a beautiful family, multiple grandchildren, and very vocal on Facebook in terms of a lot of the things that she would want people to know, either about her family or just very public commentary on a lot of things as well. But I think, like I mentioned, the one thing is just talking with residents in the community, me and my colleagues have, is that she didn't stick to herself. She was very happy and very involved in the community, even if it was just a nice hello or, hey, I need you to watch my house. I need you to watch my dog. Things along those lines. It's those little things that I think makes this case hit home a lot harder for a lot of the people in the Catalina Foothills neighborhood and Tucson.
I mean, it's bizarre. I mean, things like this don't happen typically in general. They definitely don't happen like this in the Tucson area. You know, where do we go from here as a public? Are you getting the feeling that they want people to help out there? I know they've kind of shifted from what was kind of searching in the desert area to more of a criminal investigation. But is there a sense that there's people who are out there wanting to jump in? And if so, what should they do?
I mean, absolutely. Like today, like we mentioned, there were people searching the grounds around the Guthrie home, and not all of them were residents of the Catalina Foothills. I mean, you had volunteers coming from all across southern Arizona trying to help out, and I'm sure that there will be more people that are looking to help as well. Like we mentioned, the Pima County Sheriff's Department has put out a dedicated tip line for this, and there's been a lot of traction on social media with people trying to gather any information they can. I mean, I know there's even Facebook groups that have been made specifically for surrounding this case. But like you said, it's very bizarre. And I think you heard a lot from Nanos just before I got on in terms of the investigative side. And now that they have confirmed or believe that a crime occurred, they're stopping the search on the ground. But there's a lot of people who are continuing to search in the coming days. And I'm sure on social media, there's also a lot of people that are looking for answers as well. And with that dedicated tip line with the Pima County Sheriff's Department, I mean, I think that's the best resource as of now, obviously, if anyone has any information.
Yeah, Sean, real quick here, you're a reporter on the ground there. Are you just calling every police source that you have, trying to get any kind of information about what's going on behind the scenes?
Oh, I mean, every reporter in this market is absolutely doing that. You know the drill. I mean, you try to get any little piece of information you can. In fact, tonight we're working on a story with a former Pima County Sheriff's investigator, talking specifically about kind of giving us a little bit of behind the scenes curtain, right, about what these investigations look like. And we got some good information there. Obviously, it's not the direct line to what the Pima County Sheriff's Office in Nanos is doing, but it's good information about, you know, why they bring in the FBI and homicide team, what it means when a case has this much national spotlight, how that changes the investigation. And it's little things like that that we're beginning to kind of piece together. But obviously, there's still just a ton of question marks around this case.
Sean Mahoney, thanks a lot. You're doing great work out there, keeping the community informed. And, you know, somebody out there who sees you, sees some of your reports, may spot Nancy, and that may be the key. So keep it up.
Thanks so much, Sean.
I appreciate that, guys. Thank you.
That was interesting just to get that human community perspective. We so appreciate it. I know we want to put up the tip line that you can call right now. So here you go, right here, 520-88-CRIME or 520-351-4900. They want specific, you know, information if you know anything, or video. Do you have something that could help? Do you live in the area? Maybe not even on the street, maybe not even in that neighborhood, but you don't know what happened right after she was taken. If you have potential video that could help or anything like that, please call that tip line. You know, I was talking to a former Phoenix PD missing persons detective earlier today, and she said, you know, I'd rather get 1,000 tips in, and if there's just one that helps, it's all worth it. They'll go through them all. It's important.
Yeah, anybody who was in that area late Saturday night and just saw something unusual or something that just didn't seem right. That might be the key to this. So investigators definitely want to hear from you.
Yes. We will be right back after the break. We're going to be talking more about my interview with Sheriff Nanos. We've got a security expert coming on. We've got neighbors that are reacting. So a lot more coming up. We'll see you on the other side of the break. All right, hi everybody, welcome back to True Crime AZ Live tonight. We appreciate you joining us. We're talking everything involving the Nancy Guthrie investigation. 84-year-old, she is Savannah Guthrie's mom, the Today Show host, and she's been missing since Saturday night. We are diving into the investigation. At this hour, we know that there is a crime that's being investigated. Sheriff Chris Nanos in Tucson, the Pima County Sheriff's Department, believes she was abducted and was in her bedroom when she was taken.
Yeah, it was interesting, your interview with him. He indicated that they believe they know how this person got into the house, how the person got out of the house. They are looking, they're checking Nancy Guthrie's cell phone, trying to get some electronic forensic information from that. They're trying to get video evidence, maybe video surveillance from outside the house. It might shed some real light on who this was, when it happened, and what condition Nancy was in when that happened. And one of the other things that we learned that was very interesting is that they have DNA samples that are now here in Phoenix at a lab being tested tonight.
Yeah, and that was something that we didn't know before this. I assumed that there would be testing going on from the forensics inside the home, and you can see here they were going in through the backyard and investigating. But what we didn't know was that Tucson actually has a rapid lab where they can test DNA rapidly. And that's always the thing, right? DNA takes some time to process. So the faster you can do it, the better you can get that DNA profile and then try to match that to something. But their lab is down or broken, so they shipped it up here to Phoenix. They drove it up here. And that's what's going on here in the Valley. So hopefully they'll get that soon. What comes after that, they will make a DNA profile, and they'll test that profile against something called CODIS, which is a law enforcement database. That will then test if it's a match for anybody who's been in the system before, who'd been convicted of a felony. If not that, then they'll start going through other techniques, sometimes genetic genealogy. They'll try to figure out who this person or people might be. Sheriff Nanos, used the word he as an intruder, and I asked him, so you believe it's a male and one person? He said he's not sure if it's one person, can't confirm that there's always a possibility that there's more, but as of now, that was the verbiage that he was using. And I mean, he got pretty emotional during the interview. I thought that was touching. You don't always get that side from law enforcement officials.
Yeah, from a tough sheriff, a Southern Arizona sheriff. Now, one of the reasons, or the reason, that time is of the essence in this situation is that we are told that Nancy Guthrie is on medication. And she can't go very long without being on that medication. And so that's one of the reasons they are trying to figure out where she is, who she's with, as quickly as possible so she can get that medication back.
A couple questions I want to address too that people have asked on the stream, and I'm monitoring this on the computer and my phone as we do this. Some people have asked, could this be a ransom situation? And could this have been due to Savannah's job and somebody who was either a deranged fan or had an issue with her job? Was there threats there? As far as we know, Sheriff Nanos has not been able to confirm that there was any known threats to either Nancy or Savannah due to her job. But they also don't believe that there is a community threat either. That's likely because they knew that they were dealing with what they believe was an abduction, and they didn't believe that anybody else was in harm's way. However, without anybody caught, you just don't know for sure.
Yeah, a targeted abduction. And I'm really excited because in a few minutes, we're going to interview someone who goes around the world protecting people from abductions. We're going to get his point of view on this. But at this point, we have no information from law enforcement, no indication that there was any contact from whoever did this, any ransom. And so, that is the question around the country right now is, why would this happen? Why would somebody do this? And we do not have an answer for that, and I don't think law enforcement has an answer for that right now.
Exceptionally unusual. I mean, this is a really, really weird investigation. To put it lightly, we just don't see anything like this. You don't hear about abductions often, and if you do, it's typically children or younger people. So this is there's so many questions here, and I really think that the Sheriff's Department has a lot of questions still.
Yeah, and this, if you're from the Tucson area, you know the Catalina foothills. This isn't a neighborhood where the houses are right next to each other. So, you might be asking, you can't go anywhere these days without getting caught on a ring camera or something. But this is a dark, fairly, when you look at it from a map, you see that there are houses all around, but those houses are spread out, and those roads are sort of fairly rural for being in the north part of the city there. So it is, you can think at night when it's dark, it's probably not impossible to think that you could get in there, get somebody and get out without being seen.
Right.
But I think that's probably a good segue for us to bring in Carl De La Guerra, who is a security consultant I've known for 20 years. Carl works around the world protecting people from abductions and other threats. And my first question to you, Carl, is what do you make of what you are hearing here?
Well, good evening, Morgan. The first thing for our viewers to understand is that law enforcement believes that this is not a threat to the community. So that's the most important thing. They do believe, however, and indications are showing that this could very well be a targeted abduction focused on one individual.
Targeted abduction. Why? What are the possibilities? What are the possible motives that somebody would have to abduct an 84-year-old woman?
Well, Morgan, experience tells me that there is an absolute plethora of possibilities that could exist here. But what rises to the top here? One of the things that is on everyone's mind is this perhaps connected to her high-profile daughter in some way, who someone might have become fixated, someone might have targeted her for whatever reason. We don't know yet, but the answers will come out sooner or later.
So the fact that it does not appear that anybody is called with a ransom at this point, does that mean that we can scratch that off the list?
No, not at all. Time will tell. This is still a very fresh investigation, a very new case, and time will tell as this thing moves forward. What we hope and pray for is that Nancy Guthrie is still safe.
Carl, how likely is it that she is still safe and alive at this hour? We're hitting that 48-hour mark. We know how important 24 to 48 hours is in an investigation for a missing person. So how does that kind of change the challenges as the time continues to tick?
Everything at this point would be speculation. However, every hour that passes is absolutely crucial. We do know that Nancy did have some medication that if she didn't take within time could possibly put her in a life-threatening situation. And we do know that she did have some physical ailments. So those are definite concerns the further we go into this investigation.
So we've talked about the possibility that this was connected to her high-profile daughter. At this point, that is speculation, but there is a reason somebody abducted Nancy Guthrie. What are the reasons that, I mean, we're talking about that they might want money, they might be fixated on the daughter, they might be angry because Savannah is a member of the media. What am I missing here as far as a potential motive?
Morgan, the possibilities here are absolutely infinite until it gets narrowed down, until there is more information here. We have seen people in the past get abducted for very, very simple reasons, simple disputes with neighbors, and we have seen people get abducted for money, for ransoms, for a variety of type things. So very, very premature right now to make any speculations, make any determinations until the investigation does mature.
Carl, I have a question for you regarding the surveillance video that they're going to be reviewing. Sheriff Nanos said they have the video, but it's in a cloud. And obviously, we all know, you have the cloud, you got to get in, it's password protected. How long does that usually take, or how difficult is that from law enforcement? Because I think people often assume that law enforcement can just get into a phone or get into a device, and it doesn't always go so simply.
It's not necessarily that easy. I don't know what cloud platform this was on, but very often for law enforcement to access devices like that, to access technology platforms like that, very often a warrant is needed. I'm not saying that one would necessarily be needed here, but I've seen that happen in the past. But they are going to make very, very sure that they are following all the appropriate legal protocols as this investigation goes on.
All right, Carl De La Guerra, security consultant, thanks for your expertise. We appreciate it. Have a good night.
Thank you.
All right, coming up after the break, we're going to talk more about what we know so far in the investigation. We are going to be talking about Savannah, what she's saying tonight, obviously a member of the media, a huge, well-known person, not only in Arizona, but across the world. We'll be right back after the break. Crime AZ Live as we continue to cover this bizarre disappearance and now believed abduction of Nancy Guthrie, who is the mother of Today's Show co-host Savannah Guthrie. And we want to get to what Savannah is saying about this today. We know that she is here in Tucson. Sheriff Chris Nanos confirming that earlier today. We know that she was not on the Today Show this morning, but they are very heavily covering this. They broke into NBC earlier with the update, so this is of the utmost priority to everybody. We want to put her statement on the screen today, right now. This is what Savannah Guthrie is saying tonight. On behalf of our family, I want to thank everyone for the thoughts, prayers, and messages of support. Right now, our focus remains on the safe return of our dear mom. We thank law enforcement for their hard work on this case and encourage anyone with information to contact the Pima County Sheriff's Department. And when I was interviewing Sheriff Chris Nanos earlier today, he said they're in pretty constant communication with the Guthrie family, and not only from an investigative standpoint, but he also said he wants them to know that the department is there for them. This is emotional.
Yeah, and you know, Savannah Guthrie is a very famous media figure, but she's also really a local in Tucson. She grew up there. She went to the University of Arizona. She went to law school there. She took the bar there. I don't know if she went to law school at U of A, but she has really strong connections to the community. So this situation is hitting that community hard. It's not just this famous person from New York who's just parachuting into town. This is a local family that's experiencing real trauma right now. Right. And you can get that when you talk to the people down there, when you see the posts on social media. When this first came out last night that her mom was missing, her friend group were all spreading the image saying, if you've seen her, we've got to find her. We also had reporters in Tucson on the ground today, and they spoke to some of the neighbors who lived near Nancy Guthrie to ask them how this experience, how this was affecting them.
Horrible, unnerving, disheartening. What a stain on Tucson. That's awful.
It's a very quiet neighborhood. It's a very safe neighborhood. This is highly unusual, and obviously we're very concerned about her.
Yeah, she's one of the neighbors. That is a very tight-knit community there.
Right. So we're going to do one more break here, and then on the other side of the break, we're kind of going to end the show more so with just going through what we know now, where we're at in the investigation. Also, just some interesting tidbits that I learned earlier today as to why they might be not sharing what evidence they've learned, and also what is crucially being done in this first 24 to 48 hours since Nancy disappeared. We're going to go into that here coming up on the other side of our break.
All right, welcome back to this special episode of True Crime AZ Live. We're here talking about the search for Nancy Guthrie, information that we have learned tonight, with an interview that Brianna did with Sheriff Chris Nanos, our conversations with security experts and reporter who's on the ground. Brianna, what's your takeaway?
Yeah, really covering this from all angles. And with a story that reaches this many people for a slew of reasons, whether it's your neighbor or you watch Savannah every morning and you've watched even Nancy on the Today Show. Savannah was not here that long ago in Tucson doing a hometown visit, and her mom was part of that.
Yeah.
There's so many people that care about this case. But I think tonight where everything really stands and where my interest is what was found inside that house that led them to believe that this was an abduction. I think the most groundbreaking new information we've learned in the last couple hours was that not only do they believe that Nancy Guthrie was abducted, but that she was abducted from her bedroom, that the sheriff's department believes they know the path that they took in terms of getting into the house, and that they are actively looking at how the house was left. And that was interesting to me because I did ask him if there was blood evidence, was there a note, was it disheveled? And he didn't quite go into detail on that. He wouldn't confirm if there was blood evidence, but he said there was a clear path in the house. And that would lead me to believe that there either could have been blood or there was something that was left, specifically maybe drag marks of some sort. We don't know, but they think that they know how this person or persons entered. And I interviewed a former Phoenix PD missing persons detective. This is actually a detective I worked with on our documentary 2 documentaries ago. So she's really experienced. Melissa Pulver, she's an incredible detective who now works for the Attorney General in Oregon. And so I was able to ask her a little bit about the tips, because right now you have the Sheriff's Department asking for anybody to call in tips, and that is exceptionally important when you're trying to get as much information quickly. But Melissa Pulver said there is a likelihood that the Sheriff's Department knows a lot more than they're saying. Take a listen.
Do you think even though the Sheriff's Office is asking very much for the public's help and tips, that they know quite a bit more than they'd be sharing, possibly even a lead of some sort?
Absolutely. I think that when you're in the midst of an investigation like this, you know a lot more than you're putting out. As if there is foul play, we have a suspect or suspects, out there. We don't want them destroying evidence. So it's very crucial that they don't disclose anything that's in that crime scene, because if something was taken by the suspects, the general public doesn't need to know those items, because the first thing those suspects are going to do is they're going to start getting rid of what they know the police are looking for.
And there was something that she mentioned during our interview on that exact topic. She said, this reminds me a little bit of the Brian Kohberger investigation in the Idaho 4 up in Moscow. You had the 4 college students that were killed. She said, for a while there, for even weeks, the law enforcement officials asked for anything that you knew to come forward. But they knew that Brian Kohberger, that they were getting to him because they knew they had a knife sheath that was left behind in the scene. They were DNA testing that. They knew that they were looking for a white Elantra, which ended up matching Brian Kohberger's, and he was seen in that white car after. Had he known that they were looking for this exact white Elantra, and we know somebody who's been in the area and we're DNA testing a knife sheath, that would have given him opportunity to get rid of things. And now you have somebody who's convicted and in prison for life there. So it can be make or break when you're talking about getting information out, but not compromising the investigation.
That could really, that could be the difference. And, the big question everybody is asking now is why? Why was she targeted? Investigators are saying this is a targeted abduction. What we have heard tonight is that the fact that Savannah is a high-profile person certainly has to be at the top of the list of possibilities, but the fact of the matter is this happens to regular people as well. We have no idea if this was just somebody who was fixated on Nancy Guthrie, somebody who spotted her earlier in the day, or somebody who had been planning this. I can tell you that community, that neighborhood, is not a neighborhood that it's easy to get in and out of. You kind of would have to know where you were going, how to get there to that house. These aren't like city blocks that are just square city blocks. So, you know, that doesn't certainly answer that question of why, but it does tell us that whoever did this, unless they just stumbled by and said, I want to pick this house, had to do some research.
Yeah, even looking at the video that we have, you don't just wander on and just find that random house and go about that. And even if you did, to find her in the bedroom, that takes some effort for sure. So,
yeah, just frightening. Absolutely, absolutely frightening and heartbreaking for the Guthrie family.
Oh, absolutely. And it won't surprise me if we hear from Savannah in the coming days. I mean, this is something she's used to. It's an odd position for her to have to be in. You're dealing with the grief and the uncertainty, but she's been on this side so many times for decades. And so this is definitely a different kind of seat for her to be in, so to speak. A horrible side you never want to have to be on, but if there's anybody who knows what this is like, it's Savannah, who has interviewed families like this.
Yeah, she is usually the smartest person in the room, always the nicest person in the room. The year that she took the Arizona bar exam, she got the highest score in the state. And she is just a really neat person. The person you see on television is the person that she is in real life, and the people in the community of Tucson, they know that because they've been around her, and she was a local newscaster in Tucson. So she really is one of theirs, and that's one of the reasons why the entire community has really rallied to try to help in any way that they can.
Right. Absolutely. I want to put the tip line back up for you guys. I want to end, with the tip line so that if you have anything at all, video, if you've even heard people talking about something they saw, maybe you have surveillance footage outside and you don't think it could help, but review it. Check. You don't know where somebody might have taken her potentially by car if they were walking. We don't know at this point.
Yeah, so many crimes have been solved by somebody saying, you know what, that just didn't seem right. Now this is a QR code. If you think that you saw something and you didn't get that tip line, just put your phone up against, turn the camera on, and that will take you to the place that you can give a tip to the sheriff's office just through your phone without even having to make a phone call. And
I know you guys who watch True Crime AZ Live and follow our true crime coverage in general each week, you expect us to be on the story, and we're going to continue to be. So we don't know if the Sheriff's Department is going to hold a press conference tomorrow or not. When I was interviewing Sheriff Nanos, he said, it's kind of going to be on an as-needed basis. He doesn't want to have a press conference just to have a press conference unless there's something new to report. If there's something new, we can expect him to come out tomorrow and talk about it. And so from our viewers here and people who are paying attention to true crime, I will be out in Tucson tomorrow covering this. I was talking to the sheriff about being out there with him tomorrow. We're going to try to get more on just where the investigation stands and kind of what people are saying out there. We also want to learn more about Nancy herself, and that's something that we're actively wanting to do. So I will be out there in Tucson tomorrow for coverage throughout the day. And then for those of you guys who watch True Crime AZ Live, typically we have it on Thursdays at 7 p.m. We still will, but we're actually going to take the show live to Tucson. For wherever the investigation stands, we're going to be there, and kind of a whole different ball game when we're taking a streaming live Q&A show out on the road. So we'll be there tomorrow. Our station will be there throughout the week. And then on Thursday, please join us again for True Crime AZ Live, 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. We'll have everything from out there too.
I mean, this case is unfolding in real time, and you can make sure that you stay up with all of the developments by downloading our free news app, our AZFamily news app. It's the easiest way to make sure that you get the latest developments in this case and any other news that affects us here as part of Arizona's family.
Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us for the special edition of True Crime AZ Live. You can stay up to date on our Instagram page, on Facebook. We'll be posting updates throughout the night and tomorrow morning. I know Colton Schoen's going out there tomorrow morning, so the coverage is really round the clock on this. I know as a station we're very dedicated to covering this and hopefully an outcome that people all want to see happen.
Yeah, we have substantial reporters, we have substantial assets to use to cover stories like this, and we are applying all of them to this one to make sure that that we keep you all up to date.
I appreciate it. I'll see you guys, True Crime AZ Live, 7 p.m. live from Tucson this week. Please, if you know anything at all, call the tip line, scan the QR code. We so appreciate you guys. Hope you have a good night.
We've brought you the big true crime interviews.
Who knows what happened in totality besides me?
Do you think you're a monster?
Now it's time for something new. A live true crime show every week, covering the biggest cases in the country, taking your questions live, and special appearances by guests and experts to break down the cases everyone's talking about.
Are you nervous today?
Yeah. True Crime AZ Live, Thursdays at 7 p.m.
Watch on Roku or wherever else you stream.